Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. We are ready to kick it off. Super Bowl week is finally here. Thank you for joining us on our Tuesday show. 54 games in the book. 55 headed today. Kyle, my Eagles got a Super Bowl. Your 49ers have a few Super Bowls. There's one guy in this game that's playing for his 10th Super Bowl. But the one thing we can agree upon, Kyle, he is the best quarterback of all time.
How dare you? How dare you? Because I will fall on that Joe Montana sword. And honestly, look, how many times did Joe Montana have to rely on a kicker or a BS call to win a Super Bowl? He's never had to do it, and he never lost to Nick Foles in a Super Bowl. How can you be the best ever and lose to Nick Foles in the Super Bowl? Anyways, I digress. No, it's quite amazing, and look, we've never seen a player, especially in the NFL, age the way Tom Brady has, the level that he's able to play at. I mean, look, I've been a Tom Brady hater for 20 years, but hard to argue with 10 Super Bowls and doing what he's doing at 43 years old. Pretty impressive. But the highlight of the show will obviously be having Dave with us, anyways, getting that insider perspective. So that's what I'm most excited about. I'm so tired of Tom Brady. But, it's going to be a lot of fun. When it's all said and done, I think Mahomes will end up being the best quarterback of all time when it's all said and done. So it could be a passing of the torch, if you will, for this one.
You know, it's going to be interesting in this show today because it's been a week since I've actually been on the air. I guess me and you have been paired up on the air at sportsbookreview.com. We needed a little bit of help, so we got to reach back and get Dave and bring him on the show. But before we do that, how about the subscriptions on the channel for us? We were talking about, can we get over the $80,000 number? Or, just saying, hey, look, here we are. Got all the balloons falling down. Look at it now, Kyle. 80,400 subscribers here on the channel. Awesome way to kick off Super Bowl week and have some fun. And also, let's bring on our good friend here on every Tuesday. We talk to Dave Mason from BetOnline.ag. Dave, welcome into the show.
Thanks. We're going to have to start offering some over-unders on your subscriptions over there, man. Every time you have me on there, it's a lot
it's
more.
All you. It's not us.
Oh, yeah, get the hell out of here. Okay, so yeah, right. Anyways, no, all good here, man. Busy as hell, but exciting and fun week here. It's BetOnline.
No, it should be. And I know you're probably busy can be. And the one thing we always love about BetOnline.ag, which we get to in just a few moments here, there's no better source on the internet for prop bets than BetOnline. That's just not something like, hey, Dave's on the show, say something nice. That's an actual true factor because I was looking over those today, and I have quite a few of those picked out, which normally, Kyle, we'll see, like, let's say, over under on passing yards or which running back is going to have the most running yards. You have so many props and what I call the fun props here that if you do some legwork, you can actually get an edge, but half the time you realize, who would even bet this? A lot of people would actually bet that stuff. But let's get to it real quick here, Dave. Yeah. Stafford goes to the Rams, and I'm glad we have you on today's show to talk about this because when we were talking about where was Matthew Stafford going to go, we figured it would be a huge move to some of these line movements because you're looking like a ready-made Pro Bowl caliber quarterback to a few teams that it seems like are just missing competent play from the quarterback position. I thought it was a wonderful trade for the Rams who said, I don't give a damn about first-round draft picks. They're not going to have a first-round draft pick over a 7-year period. But they are built to win the Super Bowl, getting Matthew Stafford a nice line movement there. Talk about some of the odds that went into it, and maybe if they were looking towards another team like the 49ers, or maybe if he was going to go, somewhere in the East on the Washington football team. But it was an interesting move, and I know a lot of books here moved their lines immediately right after Stafford went out west.
Yeah, and it was a very interesting time. What was that, Saturday night? I mean, it was just like, you're just trying to enjoy your Saturday night, and then that hits the news wire. You know what I mean? It was like late at night too, and it's like, you got the late night guy on his shift, and the overnight guy, and the overnight crew is kind of a skeleton crew sometimes, and they're just cleaning stuff up, looking at line movements, etc. They got a little bit of they're building stuff for the next day, etc. And something like that drops late at night when the overnight guys and on duty, and he has a quick scramble, so you start getting hit right away, and you're like, what the hell happened? And that's what happened. A big blockbuster trade. Yeah, Rams went from 20-1 all the way down to 10-1 here at BetOnline. Wow. Yeah, Lions from what lines? The Lions were like 80-1 to 150-1, I believe. So yeah, it was interesting, man. It's going to be an exciting, and it's there's going to be a lot of that over the next couple months, right? Or with all these quarterbacks changing hands, it's going to be like that. So if you're a bettor out there, and That's the thing. But with Twitter now, the bettors can get that information as faster than we do, So it's like if you're paying attention to that stuff, don't miss out. I mean, last year's a perfect example with Brady. The rumors are going to Tampa Bay, and people were piling in on a 50-1, then down to 33-1. Then when it happened at 25-1, etc. So get your information and bet early. That's the thing. A lot of people, especially during politics, why would I lock my money up for 4 years or a year or whatever? I always hear that when I post like future odds. Some wise guy always say, why would I lock my money up for a year? Well, that might be the case for most stuff, but if you can get 33-1 on Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers, lock that money up. I mean, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, don't do it. But if you have a little bit of money in the bank or in your account, 10, 20, $50, well, why not? Would you lock up the value? Or 8 years ago, Trump at 75-1 or 100-1 or Biden at 66-1, 4 years ago. I mean, that's just great value. Again, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, don't lock money up. But if you have a nice little nest egg there, put a few bucks on it, and you get some great value.
I love that, and they always say scared money doesn't make money, and what's better than
no risk it, no biscuit, Kyle?
Right? Yeah, and has that ever happened to you where you forgot you made a bet on something, and you go up and you're like, holy crap, I have this open ticket, it's 800-1, and it's gonna happen. I can't, So I think that's great advice, and of course, you want little Timmy to have a sandwich. So don't go spending the mortgage on it to be stupid and lock it up, as Dave says. Only if
don't spend the mortgage, Kyle. Only the rent. That's the goal. So
that's it. Yeah, don't spend the mortgage, just the rent, and that's absolutely fine. So speaking of the Stafford trade, just to touch on it a little bit, and you just mentioned the odds. So I mean, they just from 20-1 to 10-1. That shows how much you guys value Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff and maybe what the NFL does. Do you think it was? I mean, it seems like a huge haul, and there's another quarterback out there in Houston, and Deshaun Watson, who is rumored to be traded. So when you're looking around and you see Matthew Stafford, 2 first-round picks, and essentially Donnie mentioned it, they're not going to have a first-round draft pick in 7 years. Your last first-round draft pick you just included in this trade, which is Jared Goff. So it seems like a steep haul, but you're talking from 20-1 to 10-1. Do you think the price was right for Matthew Stafford, or did the Rams overpay a little bit for Stafford?
It seems like a lot, but so I love the draft, man. I'm a draft nut, but sometimes I just look at the back of these drafts from 10 years ago, and you're like, who the hell are half of these guys, or at least half? Yeah. I did that the other day. I forget what draft it was. It's probably from
probably looking at Marcus Smith.
Yeah. I forget. Yeah, well, the Eagles, right? Yeah, exactly. Eagles. We can trade first and second rounds for the next 10 years for anybody. So. and rights to Harry Roseman, right? But so I mean, it's a lot to give up. You got to build your team through the draft, but win it now. They got that defense. They're built to win now. So what the hell? Go for it and let the rest pan out over the next few years.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think you win one Super Bowl, or even just get even close, just get to it and don't even win it. It's worth it because you're not getting there with Jared Goff. I mean, we all saw the results there. So you just mentioned this is a crazy week, right? Standalone game. It's the Super Bowl. You don't just have all the amazing props and crazy props and different props and all the promotions. But now we also, unfortunately, everyone's least favorite thing to talk about, COVID. Are you guys worried? How closely are you guys watching it? I mean, I would be surprised if a marquee player showed up on that list, but you never know. How worried are you guys on that? And how closely are you watching it throughout the week?
I think we're watching it closely. We're all on our Twitter feeds, and it'll pop up on screen if anything happens. Doesn't mean that, again, it's 2021. There's information out there for everybody. So it doesn't mean we can't get beeped to the punch by a few seconds. But it's just how it is this last year. Our guys are on top of it. It's just the nature of the beast over the last year. It would. We'd be more worried about, a big player going down and maybe not as many people betting on the game or whatever. I mean, if some big player goes down or whatever, and the news is out there, and we get beat on a few bets or whatever, no big deal. But it's just status quo for the last year. So whatever, bring it on. Cross our fingers and bring it on.
You probably got some good practice with that, too, because when you take a look at COVID in the Super Bowl, because obviously the ones that we're looking at, or if Tom Brady gets it, or obviously if Patrick Mahomes gets it, but you sort of had that opening line where you had to post a line saying, dude, we don't even know if Patrick Mahomes is actually going to be playing in the Buffalo Bills game in the past couple of weeks. So you guys, I know, will be ready for that stuff. Here's the interesting part. Now, we love having you on for this. Most of the time in the Super Bowl, you get a lot of novice bettors, and that's not a slight on anybody where, hey, we're going to a party, somebody's sitting down, and, the father, hey, can I get $100 on the Chiefs in this game? Most people like to bet the favorites. Most people like to bet overs in this one. From your side early on, and we know how much it ramps up through late in the week when everybody's locked in, injury reports come out. Early indicators here for you, Dave. Are we heading again for most people on the over, most people on the favorite, or what type of action you seeing here with BetOnline?
No, exactly. I mean, it's big too. 67% of the early money's on the Chiefs -3, which is currently minus $1.21. 69% is on the over, 56. We did see some sharp action on the opposite sides of those. We saw some sharp action on the Buccaneers at +3.5 when it was there for a few minutes, and under 57 and under 56.5. So, there's so many moving parts with all this stuff. Then you incorporate the money line. The actions. The money's pretty even. 52% of the money is on the Chiefs. But when you factor in that 48% is getting paid +148, then we will need the Chiefs outright. Plus, we need the Chiefs outright with the Super Bowl futures. So, the ideal scenario for the book will be Chiefs winning by 1 or 2 points and a nice low scoring affair. So that would be scoop everything.
That's interesting. I'm glad you touched on that, because I get asked this question a ton. When people see, an uneven ticket split, say, 70% of the money's on the Chiefs, 30's on Tampa Bay, but the line's not moving, people are trying to understand why. Can you maybe explain that to people, why, even though it seems like more of the tickets are coming in on someone? I think the answer is pretty obvious, but I do get asked it a lot from your perspective, and why the line doesn't move a lot when people see those numbers. It sort of confuses them and makes them think, oh, the fix is in or something weird like that. What's the real process that goes behind that?
Well, everybody always thinks, and when I started this industry too, that sports books just put the line out there and then the lines to get 50-50 action, and we're just scooping the juice with our, we're sitting back with our feet up on the table, scooping the juice, and that there's nothing that's a fairy tale. That's not happening, man. Right. That's just not happening. Yeah. So what moves those odds more than anything? I'm not going to say public action doesn't move the odds, but the sharp action moves it more than anything. Like I said, the Buccaneers are +3.5. The sharps took it, so we go down to 3, and we'll take that those Chiefs bets on -3. The over under. Even though people are betting the over, we had it at 57, 56.5, and we moved it down to 56. We're going to take that sharp intel. Now, does that mean we're going to win? No. Over the long haul, it's going to maximize our profits without a doubt. Now, this is the Super Bowl, so it's not really a week 1 or 2 game. We'll take those positions all day long early on the season, because guess what? If we get murdered week 1, all that means is all those people got a ton of money for week 2. If we get murdered for week 2, like we did, if we get murdered week 2, like we did this season, it was the most profitable day in the history of BetOnline for bettors. It was week 2 NFL this year. Well, guess what? Week 3's action, that Monday night football game is going to have record action. That Thursday night week 3 football game is have record action. So is that weekend action. So there's that. When that happens during the season, it's okay. We got our tails kicked in. Guess what? Next week is going to be great. We're going to have more bettors on the site than ever. The people who got money, the casino managers, the happiest guy in the business. Now with the Super Bowl, it's a little different because, football is obviously king here at BetOnline, and, our U.S. North American competitors. Nothing comes close to football. And, of course, Super Bowl is the biggest day, but it's also the last day, right? So what happens Monday, unfortunately, a lot of bettors disappear. Some will come back for March Madness, not a lot, but a sizable portion. Some will come back for March Madness, but some you won't see again until next September. So if you lose that Sunday, you're not getting it back the final week for those guys that do disappear. So you might – the sports book can handle the odds a little bit differently. So that's why I could go back to up to +3.5. If this is a regular season game, it's not going to +3.5. We got our intel that sharps are taking plus 3.5. We'll take our side and we'll play. We'll whatever. But Super Bowl, it could go back up to plus 3.5, get some buyback. But we don't want to open the doors to sharp action either. We don't want to get that 50-50 action if half that action is going to sharps. No, we don't want to do that. We'll take a side and let it go.
I love that. And so basically, I knew there was a week where I did really well. You're right. It must have been week 2. That must have been the week that I gave everyone the great advice here on the show. I'm pretty sure that tape's deleted, so that's fine. And to basically summarize that up, he's saying once Donnie starts putting his money down, if you get a line move that you don't like that went against you, you can blame Donnie. He's probably
that's why New Jersey's banned from BetOnline, because
there you go. Exactly. Jersey, right? Exactly. Yeah. Tired of Donnie's nonsense. I get it. I totally. So that's who you blame, folks. Get him there. But no. So Super Bowl 55. I mean, it's a huge event. There's going to be a few fans there. This is probably going to be the most watched Super Bowl on, you assume, without fans being there. You got Brady, Mahomes. It won't shock me if this breaks records. But the best thing about the Super Bowl is prop betting. People prop bet the hell out of this game. Every site, DFS, DraftKings, Book, there's all these crazy specials and props. What do we have going on prop-wise at BetOnline? What are your favorites?
I love it.
And because I got to know what your favorites are. I've got a few favorites. They absolutely crack me up, some of these props. And what are your favorites, and what kind of stuff you have going on at BetOnline? Some special props for the Super Bowl, because it's a huge deal this time of year.
Yeah, well, we always have a good team of creative minds, and we love that we put a lot of thought, and we some books don't like all the creative props, they stay away from them, but some books love them, and we love them, man. We got a really good team of people who just kind of come up with wacky stuff. I mean, I'm the inventor of the cleavage prop, so that's always been my baby for the last 8 years or so. So, Jasmine Sullivan, she's singing the national anthem. Will she show cleavage during the anthem? Yes is currently minus 165, and the no is plus 125. We actually saw some sharp cleavage action, believe it or not. Yes, at plus 110. These sharp sickos, man. They'll bet on cleavage. It's great, dude. So cleavage is that's my baby, man. I'm so proud of that, because I thought of that like 8 years ago. I was just watching. I think if Beyonce was doing the national or the halftime show, and I was just watching YouTube videos or trying to come up all the normal. Will she have a headset? She might have a mic. What color will dress be? And then I was like, you know what? Something's popping off the screen here. Something's popping off the screen here. We need a cleavage part. Sometimes she has cleavage, sometimes she's not. So I came up with that, and it just went everywhere, went viral. So I'm gonna kill that dead horse every year until I'm done working in this industry. So yeah, the cleavage prop is a good one. Will Miley Cyrus show side boob be seen? That's a good one. I like the Arians read one. I thought about this one last week. The masks are a big thing this year, and whose nostrils will be exposed first. So, Bruce Arians or Andy Reid. I mean, Andy Reid, I think he had that mask drilled into his head last week. Thing wasn't budging. So, now, I don't know. I think they nailed that damn thing in his skull. So, Arians is the minus 200 favorite. But, man, there's so much stuff on that site, and I can't even keep a track of it.
It's great stuff, because even the one with the woman referee, will she have a ponytail or a bun? I mean, I want to see the sharp action coming in on stuff like that. That would be quite impressive. But there are so many really good ones, because all throughout the season, we get the normal stuff. First carry over 3.5 yards, will so-and-so throw in interceptions. But it's fun to actually sit back, because even if you're in like a party atmosphere, which, hopefully people are doing that safely and, separated. But we used to just have, way back, even in college, like a printed sheet of Dave, like 5 or 6 list of prop bets. You'd all throw $100 in, and everybody would pick them at the end of the night. You'd see who won the most amount of it. Prop bets singularly, keep a lot of things going here. But there's somebody in the chat box also, Dave. We love to have you on. Don't want to take up too much of your time during Super Bowl week. But Lauren Williams says, does BetOnline.ag have a sign-up bonus? So, Dave, let us know what's going on here for the Super Bowl with BetOnline.ag.
Absolutely. Head on over to BetOnline.ag. We have all sorts of bonuses for you, Lauren, and everybody else. Hit up our promotions page. 100% first-time bonus for crypto users. If you're into crypto, promo code is crypto100. If you're not into crypto, wake up. For other methods, 50% welcome bonus. The promo code is BOL1000. That's for 50%. The maximum bonus on each is $1,000. Once again, betonline.ag/promotions for all the details.
There we go. Dave Mason, betonline.ag, the most busy week of the season. Thank you for spending a couple minutes with both myself and Kyle here at sportsbookreview.com. Good luck on the Super Bowl, and thanks again for joining us today, Dave.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
There we go. Opposite side of the count. Busy man this week, Kyle. Busy man. You're talking about hundreds of props, hundreds of bets, new clients coming on board. And it's going to be interesting because I like controversy too. You know, you say the cleavage bet. I know I saw cleavage, Kyle. I mean, you can actually put in inquiries on that.
That's what I was thinking about. Like, ooh, what if it's questionable cleavage? Like, how does that work? Like, who's the guy? Like, okay, bring in the cleavage guy. And like, all right, here comes Randy from marketing, and he walks in. Yeah, that's cleavage. Pay him out. Oh, I love that. That's a lot of fun. How do you not love a guy who starts the is there cleavage prop bet for the Super Bowl? I went in after he talked about that. I went and found it there on BetOnline. I had to put a little bit. I'm gonna say yes to cleavage. That's my sharp pick. I say sex sells. Get some cleavage out there. Everyone's trapped at home with COVID. Give us a little cleavage. I mean, come on. That's not to be sexist. Just enough to be respectful, right? Just enough cleavage to be respectful. That's how we do it here as over at the Bachelor Pad. That's how we do it.
Yep, keeping it tasteful is not what we do each and every show, but hey, it is what we have here. But hey, But I want to talk about here also during Super Bowl week for us here, Kyle. A lot of big things going on at sportsbook.com, and I got to tell you, we can't release the guests yet for the Thursday show, but typically it's my old head, Kyle, on here, and we're talking to you about football on Thursdays. Maybe we bring in somebody at the end of the show. Maybe we don't. But this time we have at least 8 guests joining us for a live show on Thursday. You talk about the key show that we do, the NFL show with all the bells and whistles. We got everybody who's anybody at sportsbookreview.com coming on with us on Thursday to give sides, to give totals, give some prop bets. And guess what? We're going to come right back on Super Bowl Sunday with our hour pregame show. The game starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Kyle and myself will be live at 5:30 going on, giving us the latest updates, who's in, who's out, the weather conditions, prop bets are going to hit, maybe get some late line movements. And then also, we're not going to be here live during the game, but we will be here at half. Halftime, hey, you step out back, you have a cigarette, maybe you go and imbibe in some cocktails, you relax, maybe grill a steak. Put the channel on sportsbookview.com right here on our YouTube channel. We will be live at the half going over what we saw in the first half, what we expect to see in the second half. And yes, I'll be watching the weekend on one of my monitors here, but no better time here to do it. But also, Kyle, let me ask you a question. Do you play poker?
Oh, I do. Anything that I can get into, especially poker. I was a long time Poker Stars guy until Black Friday hit and they took it all away from us. I used to have a lot of fun on there. I actually played a final table with Bruce Buffer once on Poker Stars. It was a lot of fun.
There you go. By the way, speaking of free, it's me and have some fun. We have a poker tournament here at sportsbookreview.com that you don't want to miss. Freddie, tell the good people out here and run this on what we can anticipate for this poker tournament.
Ready to show off your poker skills and make some money? SBR is rewarding its followers with a chance to compete for a $500 prize pool for free. Join us in our amazing social media community this February 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time in our Super Bowl poker tournament. Registration is free and is now open. All you have to do is register on the SBR forum, download the SBR Poker client, and DM us your name on Twitter to get the passcode for the tournament. You can find the links for the registration and client download on the description of this video. So, what are you waiting for? Get your best game ready, try your luck, and let's have some fun on Super Bowl weekend with SBR's free poker tournament. I'll see you there.
Now, I'm wondering, can I be in this? Can we be in it? I'm the easiest mark in the world. You want me in this tournament. You want me in this.
How does this happen? I'll come in there, beat everyone. They have even more of a reason to hate me. I love that. We have to find out the rules, find out if we're allowed to go in there because, if we win, then it's, it was scripted like the Super Bowl. And Donnie, by the way, I read your script for the Super Bowl. Looks fantastic. I'm looking forward to watching it all play out on the field.
I can't wait. We're going to have a lot of fun here, specifically in that Thursday show, but also a couple things that, I used to sit back and still do it this time. God bless Alex Trebek. I love trivia, and I love getting after it, but you know what also you can do with trivia is win some money as well. And we got a lot of stuff here going on at sportsbook.com. It feels like a celebration this week, Kyle, for the Super Bowl.
It's cool.
This is when we really dip in. Look, Dave Mason at BetOnline giving away some good stuff here if you want to sign up there. Also, if you're coming across, you can play some trivia. And let me tell you about this contest here. Show us your Super Bowl history knowledge. Now, to me, Super Bowl 52 is where it gets in, and that's where it should end there with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Super Bowl. Now, Kyle, when he's talking about Super Bowl trivia, he's got to blow the dust off the trophies for the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll see if maybe they can get back. But how about this? A prize pool of $1,050. SBR will invite everybody on our Twitter following here with daily trivia and winners. Join us February 1st. So it's already, look, you already missed out on some things. You can still get involved in this because it's going to run all the way through Super Bowl Sunday on February 7th to take your shot for daily prizes. It's free and open to anyone following us right here on Twitter at SBR Sports Picks. And look for today's trivia. Quote the tweet with your answer and use the hashtag SBR Super Bowl. Trivia closes every day at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Daily winners will be picked randomly from all the users. So good luck on that trip. Now, again, Kyle, can I play in this trivia? I mean, what can I do here?
Yeah, and don't cheat. You know, I know there's people out there cheating. No looking it up. If you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, you don't. I want to say just add some integrity to the contest. I know it may not mean anything, but for Christ's sakes, no cheating, people. Have some damn honor when you're doing Super Bowl trivia. And how about that question yesterday? It was a good one. The largest spread ever covered in a Super Bowl. Did you get it right?
Did it have to do with your 49ers?
It sure did have to do with my 49ers. Huge favorites back in 1995. I believe they were 18.5-point favorites. I actually don't know that for sure because I didn't look it up. But
which was the Super Bowl they would have had it more? Was it the Denver Broncos when they just pasted the Broncos down in New Orleans? Or was it the San Diego game?
Popped in, the one in San Diego because they were 18.5-point favorites against San Diego. They weren't that huge of favorites against Denver. No one knew they were going to beat them 55-10 that year. Just John Elway and them crapped the bed, and the Niners just came out. I mean, Joe Montana put on a epic performance, a performance you'd probably only see from the greatest quarterback of all time. So there you go, another plug from my boy.
We're lucky. We're lucky with the Super Bowl because we're going to get into the game here in just a few moments. But me growing up in my formidable years, like being a teenager in the late 80s and early 90s, Super Bowls were a time that you had a party, but the game was secondary because the NFC would kick the daylights out of the AFC every single year where it wasn't even like an enjoyable game. We watched like Alabama using the first round of like, Jesus, well, they're favored by 20 points and they win by 30. It was always like that, but now I feel like we're getting so many good games and so many competitive games now. It's fun in the Super. Can you imagine if SBR was around like in 1994 and we're talking about a 19-point line or like, and it's just blowout city? Crazy stuff, man.
I would have been way smarter. I'd have been about 13 years old and knew everything about every sport. My brain was still a sponge and working. I probably would have been better on the show in 1994. But, you're right. I mean, the NFC absolutely stopped. I mean, you had the Cowboys, the Niners, the Packers. It wasn't until John Elway sort of broke that spell.
Against Green Bay.
Late in the 90s against Green Bay, in that game. And then, of course, the next year against the Falcons. But that's sort of when that broke. You're right. It was 9-10 years in a row NFC won it, and it wasn't even close. Like they were just beating the brakes. Aside from that Giants Bills Super Bowl, the Scott Norwood missed field goal, they were all basically blowouts.
Cowboys were running through a lot of teams. The NFC East everybody was winning in the NFC East, but poor little me over here being an Eagles fan. But hey, finally got revenge and came back. Now let's talk some Super Bowl action here coming up on this week. Because again, we're still early in the week. Not a lot has changed since last week. We're still waiting on some injury reports, but we do have some stuff that we can report on. And the first thing that I always take a look at here, Colin, when we're dealing with the state of Florida, is the weather conditions that certainly come up, and they change from day to day. So when I take a look at the weather, I'm looking yesterday and I'm saying, all right, because I have my eye on Kansas City and have my eye on some sort of team total between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and also the Kansas City Chiefs. I see yesterday, Kyle, I'm like, wait a second. We were looking at like 72 degrees, 5-mile-an-hour winds last week. I flip it on yesterday, bust open a nice little Monster Ultra Zero, start plugging in, and I see 15 to 17-mile-an-hour winds. And I'm like, here we go. Now I'm looking at that line. Again, nobody really pays attention much to the weather as opposed to like, you're looking live in Buffalo. It's, oh my God, it's snowing. I have the over 50. What am I doing? I like to follow this each and every day. So today I look at it, Kyle. Now we have light rain, 12-mile-an-hour winds, and about 68 to 69 degrees as we go. This is going to change all week long, but I have to tell you, this isn't something where we look at back in the day, hey, the over-under is 44. And if it rains a little or the winds, like, hey, look, it is what it is. But you're talking about an over-under of 56.5, 56 in that range. every little thing matters. Because people will tell you, well, the rain really doesn't matter much. And the wind, trust me, in a game where you need close to 60, whether the wind is 12 or 15 is huge. Whether you get a little bit of rain or no rain is absolutely huge in this game. So weather conditions here in Florida as of today, Kyle, 68 degrees, light rain, 11-mile-an-hour winds. Don't be surprised in 2 days if that's 76 and 3-mile-an-hour winds. Keep an eye on this thing, man.
Yeah, that's been, aside from, there's a couple little injury things, but really the news of the game so far has been the weather keeps changing so much for day to day. You're like, oh, okay, good. That's why, look, we've been talking it all year when it comes to COVID, but especially if you're looking at the total in this game, I really would not bet this right up until before kickoff when you can see the field, see the conditions, because it is changing a lot, and it's Florida. Florida is a crazy place. I mean, people get eaten by alligators in Florida. That's how crazy. Essentially, dinosaurs are still eating humans in Florida. That is how weird that state is, and the weather is no different. So I would be careful on it because, a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind. We've talked about this a lot. One missed extra point is a scoring drive that you're going to need later in the game, especially when the number is that high. So, that is a big number. We're not getting any value on that number. You need everything to go right. And we'll talk about that some as we go more into the game. But it's definitely something to watch for. And there's really no way of knowing. We've seen how much it changes from day to day. So the experts of the weather still can't figure it out. No way in hell any of us can. So I'd keep an eye on it up until game day.
Yeah, last year, he had 51 points? So I think 31-20 was the final in that game. And what a turnaround it was where the San Francisco 49ers head into the fourth quarter up 20-10. And I'm sitting here on a Niners ticket. I'm sitting here on a Niners team total, which I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was in the low 20s, like 22.5, 23, somewhere in that range. And I'm like, I got this. I'm all in on this. And the fourth quarter just absolutely didn't go my way. And I watched in awe, as the same adage goes. You're talking about an elite. If we're going year by year here, looking at the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay has a good defense. Last year's Niners team would wash this Tampa Bay team right out. That defense was outrageously good. And no matter how much pressure they were able to put on Patrick Mahomes, how long they're 10 points. Look at this. Defense wins championships. We always knew it was going to be the case. And a matter of a blink of an eye, Kansas City scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter? Amazing, man. So what I think about when people say that defense will hold them down, a awesome defense, an electric defense, an all-time defense doesn't matter when Patrick Mahomes is quarterback and he's on.
That's right. And the defense they played 2 weeks ago in Buffalo is better than this Tampa Bay defense, and it didn't matter at all. And that's really the problem for Tampa Bay in this game. Look, it's Tom Brady. I get it. And have people lost money, myself included, betting against Tom Brady? Absolutely. But when you look at this secondary, the secondary for Tampa Bay, they are nothing compared to what that 49ers team was last year. And how does Tampa Bay get pressure? They blitz, leaving your people in man-to-man coverage or covering zones that are too big for one person to cover, especially when it's Tyreek Hill. He had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter in this game in late November. This was not that long ago, and he embarrassed that entire secondary. So what do you expect? I'm sure Tampa Bay Todd Bowles is going to have to scheme something up to contain Tyreek Hill. What happens when you do that? Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the league, wide open over the middle of the field. More speed. Mecole Hardman is not that much slower than Tyreek Hill, can kill you on any kind of play on the other side. Oh, yeah, you have the best quarterback in the NFL. Listen, I think it's cool what Tampa Bay has done in terms of, Brady at his age, a different team. It's a great story. But they don't have what it takes to stop this team on defense. The blitz, I know there's a couple of injured offensive linemen for the Chiefs, but Patrick Mahomes under pressure, you see what he does. It doesn't matter if you get pressure. Your best scenario is to get pressure with only 4 up front and hope you can cover and slow him down. That's not what Tampa Bay does. They blitz. He just fades backwards and throws 60-yard darts down the field. It's not, and his guys are wide open to the best, the best receiving core in football, essentially, when you break in Hill and Kelce. So it seems like a long, long uphill climb for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, the defense is better than it was last year. Still don't think the secondary is prepared to handle the Chiefs. They'll be excellent against the run. Doesn't really matter. The Chiefs aren't all that interested in running the football anyways. Chiefs should have their way with that defense.
What's interesting in this game, too, is you take a look, because it's a shame that you're losing some good offensive linemen, which Kansas City has lost during the season. But the good part, if there is like a silver lining here, is the Chiefs didn't lose these players in game in the Super Bowl where the game plans in and somebody's not sure if they're going to start or not. Yep. They have a couple weeks to get those left tackles and right tackles acclimated in this one. But your point is right. When Patrick Mahomes is on, he's eluding. Look, there was a couple plays this week with the Buffalo Bills where it was dead to rights, shakes out of a couple plays, throws a dart 30 yards down the field, and it's first down. It's big play. It's moving. And you're saying, how deflating of a defense can that be? Like, we did everything perfect, but this guy is so good at quarterback, and this wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, is so fast that he's going to be open no matter what. Now, take a look this week coming in and looking at the injuries during the Super Bowl. There are a lot of key ones here. And to be honest with you, reading like the, in between the lines for a couple weeks, I didn't think this was going to be the case because we're talking to Antonio Brown, still hasn't practiced yet. I thought it might have been one of those, hey, sprained the knee a little bit, banged up, let me sit for precautionary reasons in the cold in Green Bay. I'll have an extra week off for the Super Bowl. I'll be ready to go. Still hasn't practiced yet, but again, we'll know a little bit more late week, but he's not going to be 100%. Jordan Whitehead, also the safety that you saw in the game versus Green Bay on a hard hit play, goes out with the shoulder injury. I just kept him out extra week. Yay, shoulder injury, shoot it up, do something. Not sure if he's going to go in this game. And also Antoine Winfield, who missed the game versus Green Bay with the ankle injury. When they told you, say, hey, look, he wanted to go. It wasn't going to be smart. Let's rest up for the Super Bowl. He's still not practicing yet. That's a lot of key cogs, specifically on one side of the ball in the back end where you need all the help that you can get that might not be there. And also, I do want to say, I love Scotty Miller at wide receiver. But if you're going to get in a big game, a fully healthy Antonio Brown out of the slot to get 10, targets and take some of the heat off the outside guys, that's a huge deal. That's something I'm really looking forward to seeing as the week goes on, the prognosis of Antonio Brown heading towards the game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And, when we did our show last week, it's like, it looks like the injury bug is going to affect Kansas City a little bit more than Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is going to be pretty healthy. That's kind of what we felt like. Now you're like, okay, Eric Fisher's out. By the way, Eric Fisher, the Niners would be the defending Super Bowl champions this year if it wasn't for that despicable non-holding call on Eric Fisher last year. Just rewatched that game yesterday, crying into my Cheerios. Honey Nut Cheerios, of course. I'm not an animal. I love Honey Nut Cheerios. But very painful. But, that's what it seemed like. But these are significant injuries for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Both starting safeties, if one or both of them are not, they're already an overmatched secondary. They need all the help they can get back there, especially Winfield. He's really their big play type guy in that secondary. And then Antonio Brown, look, when we talk about the Chiefs have a very good and underrated secondary. Guys like Antonio Brown are going to be valuable, who can go up and make the one-on-one catches, who are quick and can burn L'Jarius Sneed in the slot where the weakness might be. He and Godwin will be in the slot the most. So a guy like Antonio Brown allows you to do a lot more things that you just can't do with Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller is a nice young player, but he's not the talent level of Antonio Brown. So now it sort of seems like it shifted. Yes, the tackles are out for the Chiefs. I think you bring up a great point, Donnie, about them having time to prepare for that. Andy Reid's probably the best game plan scheming coach, Kyle Shanahan, in the entire league. So yeah, this is a concern. You're definitely not getting Brown at 100%, and keep an eye on those safeties, because if they're down a couple of safeties or even one safety, it could get even uglier for Tampa Bay's secondary trying to stop this passing game.
No, you're right on that too, because the angle I always like to look at. It's not so much, and this also goes for the Chiefs tackles. It's not the guys coming into the game. It's you're already weak. What happens when a guy gets injured in game? Now you're moving on to your third or fourth safety. You're rotating corners around, and that's when it gets hairy, because when the communication breaks down, guys are left wide open, and that's the last team, being the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to have breakdowns in your secondary as they run through you. It'll be fun to watch, see how it plays out. Now, line moves, again, it's going to be big. It's always nice to have Dave Mason to talk about where those lines are going, public and whatnot. We know people like to bet overs. We know people like to get on the favorites. And as I see this line here sitting at 3, I can't see outside of, I don't know, Tom Brady being out, Patrick Mahomes being out, Kelsey testing positive, Tyreek testing positive. It just seems like it should be staying on 3 throughout, because as you're talking about the 3.5, then that leads you towards Tampa Bay. It's not going to 2.5. There's no way the Chiefs are going to end up at 2.5. So I think 3, because I know a lot of people in the chat box, if you like the Chiefs, bet them right now. I see that here. But there's so much weight already bet on this game. Can you imagine what it takes to move it from 3 to 3.5 or 3 to 2.5 at this point in the week? I just don't see it happening here. 56, 56.5. We'll wait on the weather reports, because if you get a 19-degree windy day and 58 degrees and some rain, that number is going to come down. So that might have the movement. But the game itself, I honestly would be shocked, Kyle, if me and you here, 5:30, breaking bread, getting after the Super Bowl, going, hey, Kyle, line's 4, man. Never saw this coming.
Yeah, if it hasn't happened by now, it's not going to happen. Outside of like you said, COVID hits and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill are out. Maybe it shortens there, or Brady, and maybe it lengthens. That's why when you're and I agree too. The total I will not touch until I see that weather on Sunday, or maybe there's a concrete report like, listen, this is what's happening. However, the weather nerds can figure all that out and give you a pretty accurate description of what's going to happen. But the side's not going to change if it hasn't happened by now. He talked about all the money already in on this, how the sides are going. They're going to hold pretty steadfast to that, and I agree with it. For me, if you're betting the sides, just take a number, whatever. So for me, I would bet the Chiefs anything under a touchdown. So I don't care if it goes to 3.5 or 4.5 or 5.5, because I've already told myself as a person, I would put my money on this. Anything less than a touchdown, I'm taking the Chiefs, because I just don't think Tampa Bay can stop them. And it should be the same way the other way. So I don't think you see a ton of movement here, but you're right. The total would be the one that I would expect the most movement from if we get bad weather.
All right, early week thoughts here. Since a lot of it's going to be the same as what we thought last week, because again, we're still heading up. We already do have our preconceived notions on what we want. But looking at this game overall, and I sort of have the same feel, Kyle, as I entered into last week or week and a half ago looking at the Bills game. If Patrick Mahomes and his toys are healthy, I don't want to be the guy that says, that I bet against Mahomes. And I know it's Brady, and I know Brady turns the tide, but Tom Brady hasn't been all that good in the playoffs heading down the stretch. Now, his team is really good. They're playing well. You don't make it to Super Bowls unless you're a really good football team overall. Right. I get that. But when I look at like the Patrick Mahomes, I mean, what is it up to now? Like 26-1 in his last 27 games? The one thing I know in this football game, the Chiefs are going to be in it from the first quarter all the way through the fourth quarter. There's no scenario in my mind that I go, holy cow, Tampa Bay 31, Chiefs 13 heading into the fourth quarter. Yeah. But you know what? It could be reversed. I would not be like, wow, I didn't see this coming. 31-13 Chiefs. I'm like, that's Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid after a week and a bye week and nice weather in Tampa, just absolutely dissolving that football team. Because I know you can't take a lot out of the first time they met, which is earlier this year. Kansas City through the first three quarters just put them on blast and just rode in cruise control like they did for most of the season, trying to covering spreads. The game ends up as a 3-point game. I'm not going to be surprised because I know you can live and learn. You can play different techniques in the secondary of, hey, let's not play this defense against Tyreek Hill. He was wide open on every single play in that game. Sammy Watkins also, if you remember, was injured, finally coming back for that game, still a little bit banged up. He's going to be on that same wavelength. He said he feels good. So if you add Sammy Watkins back into that offense, and I keep saying this, Clyde Edwards-Helaire that we talked about, played in the last game, didn't play all that much, but they still, hit the pinball machine, racking up the points. He had another 2 weeks to get healthy on that ankle. He's going to be healthy. Maybe Le'Veon Bell can spell him a bit in that big game, but they still have an ample amount of running backs who can fill in and a full complement of wide receivers. I'm still sticking to the same adage I had last week. I'm not going to be the one left holding the bag when Mahomes is healthy, and you can't even play the one like this. Ready, Kyle? Well, Patrick Mahomes never won one before, and look at Tom Brady's been there all the time. Yeah. Dude just won one last year. He's ready to roll.
Yeah, that would be the one thing, I guess, when we're talking about the totals. If you're already leaning under and the weather gets a little worse, just, these are two teams. The two quarterbacks have been here before. They're not going to be overly nervous and make mistakes, but there's just going to be general nerves from being in a Super Bowl in front of all this. So you could see a couple high throws because the quarterback's amped up, or a guy drop a ball because he's looking to run after the catch. There could be a little bit of rust with some of the time off and some of the nerves that might play to the under a little bit. But I just think you're absolutely right. The strengths of Tampa Bay play into the strengths of Kansas City's defense. Kansas City, not a great rushing defense. They're capable. They're not like bad like Detroit and Houston, etc. But their secondary is where they're really underrated, and that's the strength of the Tampa Bay Bucs. Great wide receivers, great pass catchers, and an all-time quarterback. Chiefs are going to make it harder on Brady to complete passes than the Bucs will be keeping it on the Chiefs. And, even in your scenario, let's say it is 31-13 Tampa Bay going into the fourth quarter. Don't you believe wholeheartedly that the Chiefs can win that game? I know I do. I'm a 49er fan who just basically had that scenario last year. Trust me, they can come back and win the game. But if it's 31-13 Chiefs going into the fourth quarter, this game's already over. If you're a Bucs fan, go walk the dog. You don't need to watch the rest of it. If you can't stand the Chiefs, you don't want to watch a ceremony, like we said, go walk the dog. Because if the Chiefs are up by 18, it's over. If the Bucs are up by 18, it's a lot of fun to watch because we've got ourselves a game because the Chiefs are in every game.
Yeah, and the good part about that, too, is we actually won't be live during the game. So I actually can go out and walk the dog if things don't go my way and sort of turn the tide in the game itself. It's going to be a lot of fun to work on. But we've been talking about this, already for a week. And I just want to take a look at what we're going to be doing on Thursday. Still the same hour show. But get this, we have an added bonus of me and Kyle in part 2. But we're going to have 8 guests on the show. We're going to be going over prop bets, sides, totals, having some fun. Again, with who's who at SBR, we're going to have that complete list out probably by tomorrow, if not early, on Thursday to get you guys ready. It'll be a live show from 4 to 5, everybody coming on having fun. But both Kyle and myself will do an expanded version right after the show, giving our props and plays as well. And then you're not going to want to miss out on the weekend. Usually we have that 12 o'clock show carrying up to the 1 o'clock kickoff. Obviously, the Super Bowl starts later in the day on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. We will be on live at 5:30, getting everybody ready, drinks of choice that you have, one last send-off, and then we're going to come back at the half, which is an awesome idea because you can get all those preconceived notions out. I wonder what Kyle's thinking. I wonder what Donnie's thinking. We're going to pop on, and as they're playing music for an extended halftime, we'll be on for about 20 minutes, recapping the first half, what we think is going to take place in the second half, prop bets for the second half, picks for the second half, to have a lot of fun. But you don't need to feel the need to be that black sheep of the family that we know you guys are, that said, you know what? You have the party upstairs. I'm hanging with Sportsbook Review downstairs. Now you can be a part of that party, but at halftime say, I'm going to take a quick walk here, pop the cell phone on, get right to our YouTube channel, have some fun with us. I'm looking forward to it, Kyle. This is the last week. We're going to send this bad boy out in style.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I love the exclusivity of the list. I don't even know the list, people. I do not know the list. That's how cool it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to it, and all of the people who are going to be around, and I love the idea for the Super Bowl show. That's going to be a ton of fun. We'll pop in on at halftime, assuming I can still hit the button. Luckily, my Niners aren't in this game, so I won't be as emotionally invested as I was. Last year was an absolute shit show. But it's just how it was during a Super Bowl. But I'm looking forward to Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun getting everyone together on one show. We're going to have a blast.
Yeah, and I did the Super Bowl. Obviously, I know your feelings. Like the biggest day of my life, and again, my wife doesn't watch these shows, but being in Costa Rica, I was away from everybody, and I had to do the show live with the Eagles. But at least I could be comfortable with the guys I was in the room with. We all watched it in real time. We watched it as it happened. We reacted. I cannot imagine, and God love Flash, if he was splashing the pot during the Eagles Super Bowl, or if I was splashing the hell out of the pot last year on Kyle watching the Ford. And I was like, ooh, bad play. I can't imagine what that would. It would have been fun to watch, but obviously not fun for the participants here who are actively rooting on, not because they're losing money, because it's your fandom shot. I can't, like Kyle's 3 plays, it's up and it's no go. 49ers lost all day, and you didn't even get to watch the play yet.
I don't know that I could have handled that sort of that would have driven me absolutely insane. And we had a couple with the Niners this year that were sort of important, but Super Bowl, oh my God, that would be tough. That would be real tough.
No, would have been interesting stuff. But thank you guys for hanging around on a Tuesday. Again, we have a lot of good stuff going on. Trivia. Make sure you follow us at SBR Sports Picks. Get in on that. It's free. You can win some money. Also, the poker tournament. Trust your poker skills there. A lot of fun to have. You saw the replay there that we had with the little infomercial that we put up. Spent some time working on that. So support everything we do here at Sportsbook Review. We don't ask you for that much. Just a couple likes down there. Just a couple subscribes. And hey, playing this poker tournament, or hey, how about this trivia tournament? Thank you guys for joining us all season long. And again, Thursday is going to be an awesome show, backed up by the weekend here on Sunday. We're going to have some pre-game NFL Super Bowl action and talk. I'm excited to get it. And no, look, Nuke Worker says, give us a hint, Donnie. I can't do it. Trust me, though. Kyle is going to be one of the guests. He will be here, so he's still going to be employed at least through the rest of this week. So he is going to be here, but 8 additional guests. You'll find out tomorrow probably on who those guests will be. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Kyle Purviance. We are sportsbookreview.com, and this is Super Bowl week right here on sportsbookreview.com.